It is Sunday morning. We're getting ready to go for a run. It's a little later in the morning. It's about mid-morning right now. I think it's 81 or 80 degrees right now. The only thing that kind of sucks about this is that the sun is out and I hate running in the sun, but it's okay. I wanted to sleep in and I got some sleep. So today we're running with the sun and we're going to get one day closer to our goal. We'll see it a little bit. I've said it once and twice and God knows how many times. And I'm going to say it again. I just don't like running when the sun is out. I just don't. It could be 75 degrees, it could be 70 degrees outside. But if the sun is actually on and like fully awake, for whatever reason, it like takes the energy out of me. It's weird. It zaps the energy out of me. And I find myself not being able to run as fast or run as long. Today I only got 2 miles in. I was hoping to get 3, but when I got to the second mile, I was just like, okay, that's okay. I'm over this being broiled. The Arizona sun always feels like it's broiling me. So I was over it. I wrapped it up at 2 miles, but we did get the run in today, so that's always exciting. The other day I posted a video and I was talking about asking yourself why, like what makes you tick or why do you do the things you do. Do some self exploration to understand what drives you or what motivates you or ultimately what makes you who you are, kind of thing. And it's kind of funny because today I was thinking, in project management, so there's different methodologies to project management, right? So there's like your waterfall methodology, which is sequential, and then there is like the agile methodology, which it goes from a predictive plan, right, where you kind of like map everything out and one thing cascades over the next. So it's like you start here and it cascades into the next process, and then when that part is done you cascade into the next process, etc. Going from that predictive or waterfall methodology, the agile methodology is kind of more of like iterative, or I'm not even sure if that's how you say the word, but it's like that you have iterations. You have like 2-week periods of development, and then you have 1-week period of review, and then you have one or testing, and then 1 week, and then you deploy on the 4th week. You deploy your new features or your new code or whatever it is, if you're doing software, for example. And so like every 4th week, you're deploying something new, right? And when you're working with agile, there's this ceremony aspect of it, where after every deployment or after every iteration, whether you're doing 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4-week iterations where you're building stuff for 2 to 4 weeks or 6 weeks, whatever it is, at the end of every iteration you do this thing called retrospect. And when you're deploying something new, you identify all the areas that required extra attention, or sticky points in your process, or challenges that you came across or your development team might have come across when they were building whatever it was that they were building. And so this iteration retrospect is basically like a time to reflect on the good things that went on during the iteration, the bad things that went on during the iteration, the challenges that you faced, and then how did you get around those challenges, or how did you address those challenging moments. And the funny thing is that the idea behind that is you're creating this log, you're documenting all this stuff, and you're creating these lessons learned, depositories of data, so that as you're moving into new projects and as you're doing new things, you are going to actually learn from some of those past learned experiences, and in going forward, you don't make the same mistakes. You don't find yourself coming across the same challenges and not know, having to reinvent the wheel over and over and trying to figure out how to get around it. And not to mention that if a new product manager or a new project manager comes into play, they can go back to that depository of lessons learned and they can learn all the different challenges that your development team or your project team has come across in the past and how they address these issues. And so it's almost like you're constantly fine-tuning your process. You're constantly incrementally increasing your efficiency because you're actually kind of logging the changes that are happening so that you don't have to relearn them again, right? Or re-challenge, re-overcome them or whatever. And so I was thinking about this. I was thinking about this process in my mind as far as when I'm working with my projects and when I'm working with my work stuff. And I was thinking, wow, it's kind of interesting. The other day I was talking about asking yourself those why questions and asking yourself, what makes you tick. And what I think is really important is that if you think about your life like a project, like certain areas of your life like a project, I kind of wondered today, if I took everything on like a project and I managed everything like a project, what would that be like? Like, I use project management methodologies for my work, but I don't necessarily use them in my personal area of my life. And I was thinking that if I just simply implementing that retrospect aspect of the agile methodology, having that iteration retrospect. So every week, for example, having that reflective, what went right today, or even forget every week, maybe just after every workout or after every run. If you just took 10 minutes and you thought about your workout, focused about what was it about the run today? What was the challenge? What kept you from running 3 miles today? Why did you only get 2? What caused for you to give up at the 2-mile marker? Because let's face it, I could have ran 3 miles. I threw in the towel at 2 because I wasn't feeling it, the sun, this, that, the other, whatever. I made a million excuses, and I ultimately, at the end of the day, the bottom line was I told myself I ran today and I ran 2 miles, and this is good. It doesn't have to be a long run every single time that I go running. So I convinced myself that it was okay. Was it though? Was it? That's something, see, now as I'm sitting here reflecting, consciously thinking about it, now the question comes up. Was it okay? And now that retrospect aspect, reflecting back and thinking, why did I quit? Really? Because it was sunny? It wasn't 110. I ran before in 109. I didn't run 3 miles, but I ran, and it wasn't 110. By the time I was at my second mile, I think it was 82. So I could have ran a little longer. I could have toughed through the sun. I could have. But see, these are the little things that you can only find out about yourself if you're actually doing this internal exploration and taking the time to really think about your run or think about your workout. Like, how much of it was it a certain way and why? Like, what was it about it? Maybe you're at the gym and maybe you're lifting weights and maybe you go, okay, what was good today? Where did I feel strong? Where did I feel weak? Why was I feeling weak? Did I feel like I have all the energy that I normally come in with at the gym? Did I sleep well the night before? How was I feeling throughout my workout? Because I think if you take just 5 to 10 minutes to ask yourself some of these questions, whether it's on your 365-day challenge of running every day, or whether it's reading a book every day, whatever it is, if you take those 5 minutes to ask yourself and reflect on how you performed and what you find out about it in the process of asking some of these questions and really think about the questions. Like, for example, today in my run, right? 1, I only ran 2 miles. 2, I allowed that internal dialogue of the sun and this and that, and ultimately I'm already running. I convinced myself out of my last mile. Okay, I gave up. And 3, I knew that it was going to be a run that I wasn't going to be happy with going into the run because I was already running later in the morning and I already knew the sun was already out and it was bright. So if I reflect on that, one could say, okay, based on that, I know it sucks running when the sun is out. I don't like it for me. It's not something enjoyable. So what I need to do is make sure that I do get up earlier and go run every day, not just some days. If I don't want to put up with the sun. And maybe the mental toughness part might be, interesting. I allowed the sun to dictate whether or not I was willing to run 3 miles. So maybe there's a little bit of a challenge there. Maybe I need to wake up a little bit later or get out to my run a little bit later in the day, 2 or 3 times a week, until I toughen up enough so that I could care less whether the sun is blaring or not. Maybe that's what I need to overcome. Whatever makes sense to you or whatever makes sense to me, but you wouldn't be able to even think like this unless you take the time to actually reflect on your workout and your run. So, yeah, if you're familiar with, agile methodology or any kind of project management methodology, or if you're not and you want to learn a little more, there's tons of videos on YouTube about agile methodology and project management stuff. And maybe project management is not part of your work or part of your career or part of the work that you do, but ultimately maybe there's some stuff there that I definitely think that there's some stuff about some of those, processes and procedures that are used in corporate America that could definitely give you some benefit as to how you approach certain challenges and certain things in your life. So that was my thought for today. I know it's not like this totally enlightening internal, mindset thing, but I just thought it was kind of interesting that I started thinking about how do I incorporate some of the tools that I use for my regular work into my actual running 365 days. With that, I'm going to say thank you so much for following. Make sure you hit the subscribe button if you like these videos. And I am excited, 365 days. We're going to do this. I don't care how many times I have to try. But at the end of the day, in the words of Henry V, the greater the challenge, the sweeter the glory. Have a great day.